ever wonder what you carry around with you in your normal everyday life, what that says about you? Kind of a weird thought, but go with me. Like, I have a brother-in-law that always has a pocket knife on him. He's kind of a Boy Scout. Always prepared is the idea. For me, one of the things, like, if I don't have my watch on, I almost feel naked without it. He would say the same thing without having his pocket knife. It says something about us and what we carry. Sometimes good, sometimes not so good. And so again, Jesus in Mark 12 is having these discussions with the Jews, the religious elite, and I'm sure there's just people around that were listening to the conversations that were going on. And one of the things that they wanted to kind of catch him in is over taxes. That was a big thing in Rome, for sure. And so Mark 12, verse 13, it says, "And they sent to him some of the Pharisees and some of the Herodians to trap him in his talk. And they came and they said to him, 'Teacher, we know that you are true and do not care about anyone's opinion.'" I love that about Jesus. Don't you just want to be like him and not care about anyone's opinion? Amen. "For you are not swayed by appearances." You don't care what people look like, "but truly teach the way of God." They almost kind of want to flatter him a little bit, kind of build him up, and because that's how probably it would work when they were talking to other humans, but Jesus is something totally different. And they ask him, "Is it lawful to pay taxes to Caesar?" So is it lawful to pay taxes to Caesar or not? Should we pay them or should we not? Because this, obviously we understand that if he would said no to paying taxes to Caesar, Caesar would be like, "Yeah, you're going to pay my taxes or I'll kill you." And if he says, "Yeah, you should pay taxes to Caesar," then it's like, oh, well, is that your king? Because again, what we have to understand in this day is that Caesar was considered to be God, right? He wasn't just the president, he was held in a divine status. And so it's almost like, are you worshiping him? And so they asked him this in verse 15, "But knowing their hypocrisy, Jesus said to them, 'Why do you put me to test? Bring me a denarius and let me look at it.'" So he's like, you pay your taxes. Bring me one of the coins that you would use. Bring me some of the money that you would use to pay. Let me look at it. And they brought one. And he said to them, holding it up, he's looking at them and he says, "Whose likeness and inscription is this?" And they said to him, "Caesar's." And Jesus said to them, responding, "Render to Caesar the things that are Caesar's, and to God the things that are God's." And they marveled at him. See, he's saying, if Caesar's name and his image is on it, we'll give it to him. That makes sense, right? I used to do that with my brother. We would go to the store and buy candy or whatever it is. I'd write my name on the box of candy. So that is my candy. My name is on that. And he's saying the same thing. Go give to Caesar what is Caesar's and give to God what is God's, meaning that you are made in the image and the likeness. That the likeness and the inscription, the law of God, is written on our hearts. Give to him what is his then. Meaning you're not paying God what is rightly owed to him as your creator, even though you're willingly giving to Caesar what is his. See, there's one more part of this story that I just absolutely love. Jesus didn't have any money on him. Then we understand Jesus was homeless. He talks to another dude before in his ministry saying that, foxes have dens, but I have nowhere to lay my head. And so we know the women that were following Jesus, they were the ones that actually were supporting the ministry. And so Jesus was actually a little bit on the poor side. He didn't have any money on him. He had asked somebody else, "Hey, somebody bring me a denarius, bring me a coin. Anybody have $1 on them?" And we think that he's using the actual coin, the money, as the sermon illustration, but I think he takes it one more step further. So the Pharisees give him the denarius. That's huge. See, Jesus wasn't carrying around an image of Caesar, but guess who was? The Pharisees. See, they were the ones in their pockets having the little clinkety clankety change, you know how money makes that sound. They were the ones walking around with that sound. They were the ones walking around with the image of another god on them. See, what they were carrying said a lot about them, because even though they might have carried the law in different ways where they would write it on little pieces of paper and wear it, what they were carrying was a dichotomy. They had this one side that, oh no, we worship God and we follow him, but also they carried the image of another god on them, Caesar. See, when Jesus needed money, he had to ask for it. Or if you remember when he talks to Peter about the temple tax, because people even came up to Peter and said, hey, does your rabbi, does he pay his taxes? And so Jesus tells Peter, like, I don't have any money on me, but how about you go down, go fishing, catch a fish, and in its mouth, yeah, that'll be the coin that we need to pay, not just my tax, but for both of ours. See, I don't carry the image of another god with me. Now, I'm not saying if you have a dollar bill in your wallet, you're worshiping them, but in this culture, Caesar was considered God. And the Pharisees were the ones that would say, do not bear the name of God in vain. Do not take the Lord's name in vain. And that's more than just what we say with our mouths, but are we representing God well? Are we carrying his name? And so Jesus is looking at him, it's like, you're carrying the image of another God on you. And so for us, now, obviously, you know, we have quarters with George Washington or dollar bills with different presidents. We're not talking about that. But there are some other gods sometimes that we try to carry. Let it be our own heart of lust and desire. Maybe we're carrying around another god of depression and anxiety. Maybe we're carrying on another god of our reputation, our pride, our ego. Sometimes we're carrying around another god of unforgiveness because we don't want to lay that down at the feet of Jesus. See, what we carry says a lot about who we are. And there's only 3 things that the New Testament tells us that we need to carry. It says we need to carry each other's burdens. We need to take the yoke of Jesus upon us. And then Jesus tells us, if anybody would come after me, deny himself and take up his cross and follow him. See, that's what we need to carry, not so much literally what's on our persons, but what are we carrying in our heart? Do we have the joy, the grace, the love, the mercy, the forgiveness of Jesus with us, or are we carrying around bitterness, hatred? Are we carrying around gossip? You know, what are those things that we are carrying that are separating us from the Lord, that would almost be an act of worshiping another God, because those are so far more important to us than just the grace and the love of Jesus? So what are you carrying with you?